performance set by the Silicon team way back in 2016. The Xbox system architects decided for
これが PlayStation 5の全部品です。
Bridge board which handles all the major I/O, and I'm attaching it to the chassis. So this kind of demo builder kit we have here is the actual components, but there are magnetic guides here to make the process of putting it all together. Got the Project Scarlet processor on there, the 320-bit memory interface, and 10 GDDR6 memory modules. So the aim here with this split board architecture is a kind of parallel cooling solution. Cool air streams around both parts. So next up we're going to attach what looks like some metal shielding that sits on top of the SoC board, and I think this also forms a mount of sorts for the next part, the gigantic heatsink. But we're going to be seeing quite a lot of electrical shielding being added to the construction.
CPU は8コア16スレッドで最大 3.5GHz で駆動します。GPU は最大 2.23GHz で駆動し、10.3TFLOPS を実現します。メモリーは GDDR6 を8個搭載し、バンド幅は最大で毎秒 448GB です。ストレージは HDD に代わり 825GB の SSD をオンボードで実装しています。カスタムの SSD コントローラーにより、読み込み速度は生データの転送速度で毎秒 5.5GB と高速化され、
And up to 100 watts of power can pass through a square inch of area here. So yes, a very meaty component built into the SoC. But the core design here, it's
PS5 の SoC は小型の台を非常に高いクロックで動作させています。このため、シリコン台の熱密度が非常に高くなり、SoC とヒートシンクの間に挟む TIM と呼ばれる熱伝導材の大幅な性能アップが必要でした。PS5 では長期で安定した高い冷却性能を実現するため、この TIM に液体金属を採用しました。我々は2年以上前からこの液体金属を採用するための準備をしてきました。考えうるありとあらゆる試験を実施し、採用に至っています。
aluminium structure there, relatively speaking. Right, so now we're going to be flipping over to the south.
これが PS5 のヒートシンクです。PS3 や PS4 と同じくヒートパイプを使っていますが、形状やエアフローの工夫により、ベーパーチャンバーと同等の性能を実現しました。
I/O is handled, hence the name, and we're going to kick off with some more of that crucial shielding before we add on the power supply. We can get a good look at the output of this thing, 12 volts at 21.315 watts. Now that's big for a console, very big, but not unprecedented. The power output of the original PlayStation 3 actually
これが定格 350W の電源ユニットです。
watts. Anyway, Series X gets a rather compact but certainly capable unit here. Before yes, we add on more shielding before the UHD 4K Blu-ray drive slots into place. So I'm going to take a bit of a break from the construction here to get a bit of a closer look at the
ウルトラ HD ブルーレイのドライブユニットです。ドライブユニットは板金ケースで完全に覆い、さらに二重のインシュレーターでマウントすることにより、ディスク回電時の駆動音と振動も低減させています。
we had to work with. Microsoft took a 22x30mm form factor SSD, essentially customized it to fit within the Series X design, which delivered its own thermal challenges. So to siphon that heat off, Microsoft uses what it calls thermal bias springs, which kind of press so the heat from the drive can transfer and dissipate. So this idea of springs being used to more
将来の拡張ストレージ用として PCIe 4.0 に対応した M.2 インターフェースを搭載しています。
The penultimate stage of the construction involves adding on the 130mm axial fan that sits atop the design. Microsoft looked into a ton of alternatives here, and a single axial fan proved to be the most an entirely custom part, of course. So the number of blades there, the geometry of the blade, even that curious curvature you can see on the edges, it's all designed for optimal airflow. Not sure about that little Master Chief motif there. I'm not sure that actually adds much in the way of efficiency, but the design team does like to include those little Easter eggs. And here's another, an anaconda motif on the SoC board, a nod to the console's original codename. Getting back to the final construction here, it's super dense, right? Sent more airflow than the last generation. And there's
ファンを取り外します。直径 120mm、厚さ 45mm の両面吸気の大型ファンを搭載しています。
System firmware carries out a constant balancing act between delivering quiet performance from that thermal assembly and thermal management based on temperature. Tons of air through the bottom of the machine, through the parallax cooling design, and then up through the top. Machine, there by virtue of the need to expel a good amount of hot air. So Microsoft actually leaned into that and made it what it considers to be one of the signature surfaces of the design that details the internals. It's actually a combination of tooling, ultrasonic welding, and heat staking going on in there, which did present some curious production issues. So all parts by the heatsink and, well, essentially thrusting them into the enclosure. Obviously though, the robots will be doing a much better job than I am here, but with the innovation into a media cabinet.
両側の白いパネルはお客様自身で取り外しが可能です。後ろの角を持ち上げてスライドすると外せます。こちらも後ろの角を持ち上げてスライドします。ケースを外します。プレイステーション5です。サイズは幅 104mm、高さ 390mm、奥行き 260mm と PS4 より一回り大きくすることにより、処理能力や静音性の面で飛躍的な性能向上を実現しました。ベースを外します。縦置きのときはコインネジで固定されています。外したネジはスタンドの中に収納できます。で、このキャップを固定しておきます。横置きにするときはベースを回転させてください。このマークに合わせてベースを差し込んでください。